As we enter the home stretch of our experience here in Unit 1, Part 4, with respect to the order of operations, we can think a little bit further with our deja vu we just had on the last slide and take in consideration the common use of PEMDAS, or please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, as the acronym to remember the steps of order of operations, but you're going to be really, really careful with how that methodology is applied. It becomes very misleading when you see the M before the D and the A before the S to assume that we're intending that multiplication is more important than division. So I'm going to do all multiplication first and then do all division. And likewise, since addition comes before subtraction, I'm going to add before I subtract. But remember, these operations are equally powered operations. Multiplication and division are inverses of each other. They undo each other, so they're just as powerful. So one's no more important than the other. You take them as they occur left to right. And same thing for addition and subtraction. They're equally powered operations. One's no more important than the other. You take care of them as they occur left to right. So as long as we can keep that little factoid in mind, using PEMDAS is not a bad thing, and it becomes a quick way to remember the rule, but just make sure we're imparting the rule in the appropriate fashion. So our last component here of our consideration in Unit 1, Part 4 is the consideration of where we're going next. And so over the second half of this week's investigation, we're going to be looking at generalizing arithmetic into the world of algebra. And how we do that is by introducing the concept of a variable. So a variable, which is, yes, very often a letter, it's a symbol. It's a symbol that's representing an unknown commodity and is expressing in a more powerful fashion the same sorts of relationships that we previously witnessed in the landscape of arithmetic. Once we have this concept of a variable in place, we'll also take the pre-existing arithmetic expressions and up the ante to an algebraic expression. So again, all that's really doing is taking the prior mathematical phrase comprised of numbers and operations and adding to the mix the presentation of a variable. Knowing what algebraic expressions are will lead us to the ability to evaluate algebraic expressions, which essentially it boils down to two steps. And those two steps are, can I substitute the given number for the variable of interest? And once I've done that, can I use the order of operations to simplify the expression that results? So what is this meaning? It's really that much more important now that the order of operations are well mastered if we're going to make the evaluation of algebraic expressions that much more successful. Once we've considered the evaluation of algebraic expressions, we'll move on into the consideration of how to solve equations of the most basic fashion for the time being. So we'll get very straightforward cases of one-step and two-step equation solving. With that skill set in place, the last consideration for Unit 1 in our investigation of whole numbers will be the application of these equation solving abilities to solving real-world word problems. So, what we'd like to now do to complete discussion of Unit 1, Part 4 is to complete an exit quiz. So we're going to head over into our course Moodle page. Again, access the appropriate MyLab and Mastery link. So here we are again on our course Moodle page. We're in the Pearson MyLab and Mastering block. We'll select the MyLab and Mastering Tools link. This will bring us to our MyLab and Mastering dashboard. We once again select MyLab Math All Assignments. The available assignments for Unit 1, Part 4 again become available. We see the Unit 1, Part 4 Order of Operations Exit Quiz. We select the assignment. We select Start Test, and away we go to our assessment of the current unit's investigation. Remember, there's only 3 questions in this exit quiz. It's going to assess you on those more simplistic cases of the order of operations. It's going to test you on those middle-of-the-road type of questions where there's several operations in the mix. And then finally test you on that more rigorous situation where we have a plethora of grouping symbols and exponentiations and rootings alongside our most basic operation cases that we addressed in questions 1 and 2. Please remember that when you are completing the exit quiz in MyLab and Mastering, unlike the previous entrance and feature presentation exercises, the exploratory assignment, where you have those available resources like help me solve this, show me an example. The exit quiz is an official examination type activity, so we don't have those resources available. You will have the availability to email me as your instructor. The question should arise. I'll be happy to address any questions conceptually speaking, that are taking place. I can't take it step by step in solving the problem, but I can at least answer those big picture conceptual questions that may be arising while you attempt the problems at hand. Please keep in mind that, like previous assignments, all assignments for Unit 1, Part 4 are due no later than Saturday at 11:59 p.m. If an emergency arises that prevents you from completing the Unit 1, Part 4 assignments, please email me at mfernandez@capecod.edu at your earliest convenience so we can make appropriate adjustments on these established deadlines given the circumstances that have arisen so you can get these assignments completed. More importantly, so that you can obtain the mastery of these concepts that are going to be so critical, not only in Unit 1, Part 5, where we consider the algebraic applications of these arithmetic ideals, but more as we kind of head down the line in Units 2 and beyond, looking at exponential rules, looking at the ideas of rational and radical relationships in future algebraic investigations. This is our starting point. This is our stepping stone. So we want to make sure that we've established a good foundation to make those future ideas this semester be well established. So I wish you best wishes in your completion of the exit quiz. Please remember the importance of these ideals that we discussed here in Unit 1, Part 4 with respect to the operations, how imperative it is going to be with respect to these upcoming ideas in Unit 1, Part 5, and looking at algebraic expressions, their evaluations in equation solving and word problem solving, and our further preparation for the upcoming Unit 1 exam next week.